We're talking about chronic mercury poisoning today. So chronic mercury poisoning can also manifest in Minamata disease. So that's the name of it, Minamata disease. Now, mercury is a heavy metal which is toxic to our bodies, and mercury can damage multiple organ systems, which is including the gastrointestinal system, the nervous system, the any kind of hormones, endocrine system, and it can cause changes in our body. So essentially, these are a few of the images we're going to look at today to develop a story for mercury poisoning. Now, these pink hands represent pink disease, which is a common disease which occurs in children who have an even lower threshold for tolerance for mercury. So this is pink disease, also known as acrodynia, which manifests in children, which causes pink discoloration of the hands and the feet, and a pink discoloration of the extremities of the feet, hands and feet, also peeling of the skin, also peripheral neuropathy, and they have these changes in their nervous system. Okay, then we also have Selena Gomez here, because mercury directly causes damage to our body's stores of selenium. So that reminds you of Selena Gomez, and it kind of depletes the body stores of selenium by sequestering those stores. And as selenium gets depleted, the more and more selenium decreases, the more and more you're going to see harmful effects in the human body, harmful effects in the different organ systems. Then you have Mad Hatter. So Mad Hatter disease. So this is a disease which is quite common in hat makers in the olden times. So Mad Hatter's disease is a common disease that was quite common in hat makers in history, and this, I'll talk about it in detail in a bit. And this presents with skin rash, vomiting, neurological changes, tremors, hyperexcitability, disturbances, neurological disturbances. Now there's a fish here, because one of the most common causes of mercury intoxication is from fish. So fish contain high amounts of mercury. There's a whole food chain from which mercury gets deposited into fish, and then humans eat them. And then, because the important thing why there's a pregnant lady here is because mercury's ability to cross the placenta is quite vigorous. So mercury crosses the placenta quite rapidly. So rapidly crosses the placenta, and it can lead to an abortion as well, which is really, really dangerous. Okay, one thing that's not in this diagram is that mercura lentis. So this is an actual discoloration of the lens due to mercury deposition. So that is known as mercura lentis, and that occurs due to a discoloration of the lens due to mercury intoxication. Now, one important relation between selenium and mercury. Selenium acts as a mercury magnet. So selenium acts as a mercury magnet, and it has an affinity for binding mercury. So in signs of mercury intoxication, when there's too heavy a mercury load on the body, selenium will act to deplete and eliminate those toxic quantities of mercury. So now, let's talk about each of these diseases in depth. So mercury exposure in children is known as acrodynia. So acrodynia, which means painful extremities in Greek. And this is essentially pink disease, and it causes this pink discoloration of the skin. As I've mentioned before, it can cause peeling of the skin. So here you can just think of all the P's. So pink, peeling of the skin, peripheral neuropathy, all of these changes are going to be observed. One important thing is in mercury poisoning, within the mouth, you'll see salivation. So this girl is salivating. You'll have a metallic taste in the mouth because this is obviously a heavy metal. It can cause loose teeth, inflamed gums, and this can also cause a bluish line. Okay, now, which two ways does mercury get into the system? By ingesting fish, number one. Number two, by inhaling from a power plant. So mercury as a vapor is very potent and it can go straight to the lungs and cause damage there. So let's say all of these fumes are going to this pregnant lady and she's inhaling and it's damaging her lungs.
It's 16 hours.
I'm sorry, I know a lot of the damage is going towards the pregnant person. Okay. Then, what is mercury to the brain? Mercury is a neurotoxin to the brain. It causes hallucinations and psychosis. What is Mad Hatter disease? Mad Hatter disease, like this man from Alice in Wonderland, it causes hyperexcitability, vomiting, skin rashes, and tremors. What is the word or the symptom that occurs in chronic mercury intoxication, which is known for an abnormal or overactive response to stimulation, and that's erethism. What does mercury do to selenium? So this is all to do with the pathogenesis of mercury poisoning. Mercury within the brain sequesters all that selenium, just the same way that selenium is a vacuum for mercury. Here, acts as a mercury magnet, or a mercury vacuum with an affinity for binding and helping the body eliminate the toxin. Mercury does the same thing to selenium. It sequesters the brain selenium. It depletes the cellular selenium. So if it sequesters all the selenium, it makes like these, imagine it's making these big bubbles. And then within the cell storage of selenium decreases. And that directly reduces thyroreductase. Thyrodoxin reductase. Okay. And what is so special about this thyrodoxin reductase? Well, the normal job of Theodore, so I like to think of it as Theodore, you can remember this whole as Selena ate a lot of fish and went to Mercury. She needed an EpiPen, which we'll talk about later, and she had a pink baby Theodore. Okay. So that's selenium. Okay. So what does mercury do to selenium? I already talked about that. So, and then she had a pink baby called Theodore. Pink baby refers to pink disease as it's expressed here. And then Theodore is thyroid reductase. What is the normal job of Theodore? It restores vitamin C and E. Now, there's an important relationship between epinephrine and selenium, and that directly causes hypertension and tachycardia in patients with chronic mercury poisoning. And that relationship is because does selenium increase or decrease epinephrine? Well, normally it reduces epinephrine because selenium stimulates degradation of epinephrine, which is breakdown of epinephrine, right? But when you don't have selenium because it's all bound with a mercury, then you have no degradation of epinephrine. If no degradation of epinephrine means elevated levels of epinephrine, which means hypertension and tachycardia. How would you treat this? You can reduce the exposure to the mercury. You want to eliminate the mercury from the body by a decontamination procedure, or you can do chelation therapy. Okay, I hope you like this video. Please subscribe and like and comment and stay tuned.